Alright, so once again, I'm live coming in. Quite a few things to talk about tonight. Talking about surveillance pricing, manifest destiny, probably ABA, and all that. So, a couple of good hot topics on the meeting tonight. Not even hot topics. The news media is not bringing them up. So, it is what it is, right? But that's the way it is. When we talk about surveillance pricing, we talk about a lot of things tonight, actually. Because people really need to know these things and stop being flim-flammed by people. All people. On all sides of the aisle. It's a bowl of confusion and a bowl of deception. Right? Okay. If Chak, when he gets on, we'll talk about the ABA thing. We'll get a chance. It's kind of interesting. My brother, man, I don't know what it is. But yeah, what it is. Yeah, talk about a couple other things too that's going on. Inflation, bird flu. Actually, I've been doing my own personal experiment with that as well. Going to stores and seeing what the prices are at these stores, and it's all different. Which means, as I said before, it's all a game. As I've stated many times. But nobody wants to deal with that elephant in the room.
It's Hank Winchester. Help me, Hank. I'm here with my colleague, Karen Drew.
We are talking about I'd say it's a big story because it's affecting a ton of people. The talk about artificial intelligence, facial recognition.
Price surging allegations.
Right, are grocery stores using this?
Yeah.
Rashida Tlaib has brought out some major concerns. So as a consumer investigative reporter, what are you hearing and what do you know?
Well, a letter to the CEO of Kroger is definitely a talk about, right? So she's accusing Kroger of using technology to take advantage of dynamic pricing, to use facial technology to identify shoppers and say, hey, this is Karen. We know Karen comes in and buys these 10 items for her family. And because of that, we're going to target her in different ways.
Right, which is offensive if you feel like you're being targeted individually. I think people get like a price raise for everything, but if it's individual, that's where you start getting worried.
But then let me counter your point, because some of the
What up?
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm getting that flu, man. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I'm playing this thing about that price gouge thing.
Okay.
Yep.
the stores will say, well, we're targeting her because we know that she buys these items and we want to offer her better deals.
Then you might say, well, then that's okay, right?
But is that really what's happening here? And like, you know, we both live very close to a Kroger, to a Target, to a lot of the big stores, and we both have kids. So how many times a week are you making your way into store? I mean, sometimes I've developed personal relationships.
I know the lady at the, I should probably do a better
job.
Because
I see them so much because I have to run into these stores because inevitably you forget something and you have to go back. And so then I think to myself, well, now they're so used to me being a fixture here. They know what I'm buying. Is that working for me or against me? You know? So
then protection, or what are you supposed to do if you think, I mean, it's not that this is illegal or anything, but what are you supposed to do to get the better prices?
I mean, the reality is like we encourage and we tell people all the time, sign up for store loyalty programs, like through Costco or Kroger or Walmart.
I do those sometimes, but many times at the end of the day, then they're like, oh, you saved $1.20. And I'm like, really?
Well, but then there's the flip side of that, right? So now Kroger has come out and said that we do not, your personal information is safe. In fact, I just talked with an executive in Cincinnati a short time ago. Questions she answered at clickondetroit.com right now. But the thing is that they say that they're not using that information against you in any way. They're using that information to help you save money. There's articles out there. In fact, Vice just did a report on that said, if you believe that, really, like, we'll sell you some, like, you know, swampland in Florida. I mean, like, it's just, it puts us, the consumer, in a really tough position because we have to buy these items and you just wonder, you know, how that information is being used. So you're a loyalty member.
I'm a loyalty member, and I get frustrated.
Stores,
and I feel like
I get frustrated. Why?
Because I would like to save more.
Enough.
I feel like all they're doing is collecting my information, but I'm not really getting that much of a reward. So sometimes I'm irritated.
Do you shop around, or are you a
I tend to go to the place that's closest to my house because we're all in a rush.
Yeah.
I should do more. I should.
What about online?
I did try that a few times.
Groceries? Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
From like an actual, like a brick and mortar store that we know, or like you purchase items like from Amazon, say?
No, like I've done like an Instacart.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's almost a different issue because there's people who have concerns about, you know, somebody else. But when it comes to the price point, I think that really it's really interesting to me, especially in this election cycle.
Because that's what everyone's talking about. I've never spent more on groceries. And so I want to know ways to save. Yeah. So I do the loyalty. And I mean, I do look at the prices. Sometimes you have.
If you found out a store was using your facial recognition to determine a price, would that upset you? Or would you think, if they were offering you a more of a deal, but they were using that technology, would you be okay with it?
I mean, I guess it is what it is. I know it's out there and it's going to happen, but deep down, do I like it? No, I really don't. I mean, I just feel a little invaded, but we all know when you go somewhere, you're being recorded, you're being tracked. We're being
recorded right here at work.
You're probably wondering, why are we getting back to work?
Why are we sitting here?
Why are we still sitting there?
But we step out on the street here in
you are recorded.
There's a camera that's
and you're naive to think that it doesn't occur. So that's why I guess I just wanted to ask you of what we can do. And I guess it's not like we have a choice, but do our better job of looking for bargains. Yeah. And I really would like to know more from Kroger, you know, in all grocery stores, like, you know, what is the plan? I mean, if I'm willingly coming into your store and you're going to record me, I mean, I guess that's your right. I just would like to know how it's used.
Kroger has come out and said that these accusations are not true, that they are not in any way surge pricing or dynamic pricing. meaning that when inventory is low or there's a demand for a
Right.
particular item, they're raising the price on that. They say their prices are adjusted every Wednesday.
Right. And then they're good to the next Wednesday.
That's what they said. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, everything is so expensive. And I think that's why, when somebody makes an accusation like this, like the representative did, it gets not only an immediate response from Kroger, but it gets an immediate response from you, the consumer, because you're wondering, like.
So basically what's going on is they're saying that Kroger is surging the prices on consumers by facial recognition.
And they say, and well, can't people tell from the app or from something like that they were saying when it was, or can't people tell when they pick up, when they go to the counter that the prices change? Can't they prove it?
Yeah.
I was at people, I screenshot the damn price and I go up to the register and show them, look, this is a different price. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
This is way different than these motherfuckers are slick, man. Of course they're gonna deny it. Oh, we haven't been doing that. We don't know nothing about that. Of course y'all know. I'm not surprised, man. That facial recognition. That's why they're gonna use that facial recognition for a couple different things, not just for crimes and shit.
Well, it's way out of bounds the way they're using it. But look, let me put this out to you. So as you know,
that's fucked up.
You were talking to me on the phone a couple times, and I go to stores and ask them about the egg prices, right? Some of them say they ain't got no eggs, some of them don't have none, and then some of them with the high prices, they either got them or nothing. Yesterday you was on the phone with me, and the lady said, "You can't even ask about eggs. You ain't got no eggs in your hand."
What that mean?
Hey man, I'm supposed to buy them bags, right? Yeah. But last week they had a Human Health Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy, got put in. And the day after he got put in on Valentine's Day, the day of love, a bird flu vaccine or avian flu vaccine for poultry got USDA approval.
How do you know when it's time to end a relationship or when to really fight for it to see if there's something there?
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer that applies to all situations, but I think there are some things for people.
Zoetis closed lower today after reporting Q4.
Hold on 1 second. So what I'm saying, this thing is all a game.
Thanks.
With this bird flu.
They said they basically now they got the avian flu vaccine. That's what they said.
Yeah, it's called avian flu. It's my fault.
Right after they
already had got approved though. Moderna had got approved on like January 23rd or something like that. Matter of fact, they think they got a couple approved. They get a lot of money to push this. So here we go.
Oh yeah, they are.
For earnings this morning. Meantime, Zoetis says it just got approval from the USDA for its avian flu vaccine for poultry. Joining us now for an exclusive interview is Zoetis CEO Kristen Peck, and she joins us on set. Welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. It is great to be here, especially after such excellent results and the great news of our conditional licensure of our high-path avian influenza vaccine for poultry.
So I do actually want to start right there because we've seen what egg prices are doing in the midst of this bird flu. We've seen it spread to other types of animals. We've seen it spread even to some humans. We've seen it show up in the inflation data just this week. What does this vaccine mean and how quickly can it be deployed?
Sure. I mean, what we've seen is a significant impact to the poultry industry from high-path avian influenza across the globe, but certainly in the U.S., especially in the layer population, which is driving the increase in the egg prices. We've also seen it, as you know, in dairy cattle, and it's now in humans. So it's very One Health. We've been working with the administration and with Congress, and we're very excited today to get the licensure for it in poultry, which we think will be a tool that will help support.
Now, wait a minute. Didn't she just say they work with the administration and Congress to get this done? All right.
The government as they deem necessary. So we'll continue to do whatever the government wants there.
How big is that opportunity in livestock, in poultry, when you think about vaccines and health? I mean, I sort of came ready to talk to you about pets, and we'll get to that as well. But when we're talking about something like avian flu, what could that opportunity mean from a market standpoint?
Given that pet care is our largest business, over 65% of our business, livestock is not as large. So we don't see it as an important, significant impact overall to the bottom line of getting that. It's really important to our customers and most importantly to our purpose to support, and nurture the world and nurture human health. So that's really much more it has to do with. It's not going to make a significant impact for us on the bottom line, but it really will support our customers as they need it.
So let's talk about cats and dogs.
Yes.
And in particular, I'm wondering demographic shifts and maybe psychographic shifts. There's been so much that the luxury consumer, the higher end consumer has been powering in this market. And you got to have a certain amount of money to do sort of medication for your pet with more advanced and serious diseases. What are you seeing trend wise, maybe even with those pandemic pets that got purchased and the percentage of pet owners who are willing and able to provide that kind of care?
Yeah, what we're really seeing is how essential and resilient the animal healthcare industry is. And that's because of the human-animal bond. It's not just the number of pets, it's who's adopting them. And to your point on the trends, it's more millennials and Gen Z. And they see their pets as critical members of their family. And they want them to be treated with the same, health care that they get treated with. And that's what's really been driving the double-digit growth for us across key franchises, such as our OA Pain franchise, which grew in 2024 80%. As you look at our, Simparica or parasiticides franchise, growing 28%. And 17% in dermatology. They're taking better care of their pets. They're much more engaged in their pet's life. And we think it's really a resilient and enduring driver of the growth for Zoetis.
Is there going to be a GLP-1 type effect for pets at some point? Not necessarily specifically that, but a life enhancement.
Well, our biggest areas of focus right now in our pipeline that we really think are going to be disruptive and game-changing is chronic kidney disease, which is going to be a $3 to $4 billion market. And we mentioned at JP Morgan that we're expecting a product there in the 12 to 36 month. That is dogs and cats. There are no treatments in animal health.
None of these people talking about a cure, man. They're talking about markets this and markets that, and none of them are talking about a cure. That's the whole point. That's the whole bottom line. That's going to hit their bottom line by not having a cure, but you can still make all this money off this vaccine.
Yep, that's what he's saying.
Which is where you see it in human health, which was going to be a 1.2 to 1.7 billion. What we really guided to is we're expecting an approval every year for the next several years, and these are going to be blockbuster products. And I think what's really important is these provide drivers of our growth over the short, medium, and long term.
So you have a robust pipeline. I am curious how you're navigating trade policies, especially as we're having conversation, just the latest today, and we don't know when or if or how those get implemented, but reciprocal tariffs that the president talked about this afternoon. Yours is a global business. How do you navigate it?
Yeah, so what we've done is very similar to many companies. We've had, teams working over months to be tracking some of this and to really understand what the potential implications are. It is fast moving and it's evolving. And so as we said, when we gave our guidance today, we're not baking that in since we don't know when and exactly how much, but we've been doing scenario planning like many companies and, stand ready to try to help address and mitigate whatever we can.
How quickly could you move production from one country to another or stand it up in order to adapt to that?
Well, we're a highly regulated industry, and it takes, multiple years to be able to move a product. Or honestly, it's not just a product. It even could be an input. So this is a very global supply chain as you think about both human.
All right. So.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
Bird flu Moderna. Okay.
Facts. Rashawn Green, what up? Man, it's money, baby.
As an owner of Walton Goggins goggle glasses, I know how to make slick-looking goggle/glasses. But I have...
With bird flu spreading rapidly in the United States over the past few months, the federal government has now awarded more than $500 million to pharmaceutical company Moderna. The $590 million will go towards speeding up the development of its bird flu vaccine. According to the CDC, there have been nearly 70 confirmed human cases of bird flu in the United States, including one death in Louisiana. The highly pathogenic influenza has been rampant in poultry farms. An outbreak of bird flu was reported in March of last year in dairy cows in Texas and Kansas. A similar outbreak occurred later in the year in dairy cows in California. Just this past week, bird flu was detected in a large commercial chicken plant in Georgia. Since 2023, Moderna has been working to come up with a pandemic influenza vaccine, which would protect against certain viruses, such as the H5N1 bird flu. Moderna previously developed a COVID-19 vaccine, but as COVID has decreased, so have its sales. This new government spending will fund the expansion of clinical studies of additional subtypes of bird flu, pay for late-stage development, and licensing of a vaccine. In 2023, Moderna initiated a study to generate safety and immunization data of a bird flu vaccine shot in healthy adults, ages 18 and older. The trial included candidates against two viral strains, H5 and H7. This is the second time Moderna has secured government funding to try to manufacture and develop a bird flu vaccine. In July, it received $176 million. While the CDC considers the risk to the general public through human-to-human transmission low, it continues to monitor activity in people exposed to animals. In addition to Moderna, Novavax is also in the process of developing a bird flu vaccine. It is currently conducting preclinical studies. I'm Craig DeGrelli. For more unbiased updates, download the Straight Arrow News app.
So Moderna got one too. All right.
Interesting stuff, man.
Now to the spread of bird flu, which is causing egg prices to soar. A dozen eggs now 50% more expensive than a year ago. And there appears to be no relief in sight. Ariel Reshef is here with those details. Good morning, Ariel.
Good morning to you, Lindsay. The consumers are feeling it out there. Health officials are warning bird flu continues to spread across the country, impacting dozens of farms and roughly 20 million poultry and birds in just the last 30 days. In a new report over the weekend, the USDA is saying the national wholesale average price for eggs increased 40 cents over the last week to $7.74.
All right, pause, because I told you last week when I was in the store, the woman said that it could go up to $14 for eggs.
Wow.
So that's $7.74. That's over halfway there.
Bro.
This gonna cause, so that in case of a food fight, we're gonna have an egg fight.
Oh yeah.
Panic buying.
Per dozen. Experts say there's little chance that we're going to see lower costs coming anytime soon, with continuing outbreaks limiting the ability for those farmers to rebuild their healthy flocks. Those wholesale prices could take weeks to lag into stores for consumers to see them, but consumers are already feeling that sticker shock. According to the Consumer Price Index, the average cost for a dozen eggs has now hit a record $4.95 for consumers. That's 50% higher than last year's price. And we're now paying about 80 cents more than just last month. Experts say prices are expected to increase by up to 20% in the coming months. When it comes to the health implications of bird flu, there have been 68 confirmed human cases of this virus. So far, experts say most human infections appear to be mild, but an elderly woman was hospitalized in Wyoming over the weekend. Thankfully, there is no evidence yet to suggest any human-to-human spread of bird flu. Officials stress, though, surveillance of these outbreaks is vital to containing this virus and any potentially more severe mutations. Guys.
All right. So.
Wow.
Bird flu veterinarian. That's what I was trying to get to. You might have had that one up there. It don't matter. They want you to stop vaccinating. Oh, hold on. This might be it.
Oh, yeah.
Doctors explain how bird flu could have spread to veterinarians.
Don't worry. You can't predict sick days. But with
A health alert tonight on the 10 o'clock news. According to a new study just released by the CDC, 3 out of 150 veterinarians who work with large animals have contracted bird flu. The vets didn't even know they had it until they signed up for a study to see if bird flu antibodies could be detected in the blood.
Antibodies indicate they had the bird flu, although they didn't have symptoms of an infection. News Desk reporter Eric Avanier joins us now here in the studio tonight to explain what this all means for the general public. Eric?
Well, what it means generally is that bird flu infections went undetected. Right now, there is no evidence that the virus has spread from person to person, but it can spread from animal to person. This is what the bird flu virus looks like under a microscope. To fully understand how the virus is spreading from sick birds to cows and now humans, while at the same time causing the cost of eggs at the store to skyrocket, I consulted with Dr. Michael Koren, the director of the Jacksonville Center for Clinical Research, who oversees clinical human trials of vaccines for an array of illnesses.
It's unusual for flu viruses to move from one species to another, but it does happen. And the reason for that is that each flu virus has specific characteristics that allow it to infect certain cells.
In other words, viruses mutate into strands that then hop from one species to another. This computer-generated model of a virus shows how that mutation may look.
So in this case, we know that there's been transmission from birds to cattle. And the question is, will it go from cattle or birds to humans? And there have been a few cases, none in Florida so far, but there have been a few cases. And that's the concern. If that trend continues, or if there is a mutation that creates a problem, and then this becomes highly infective to humans, then we have a problem.
The CDC says blood tests revealed 3 veterinarians who work with large farm animals had at one time contracted bird flu because they now have bird flu antibodies in their system. 2 of the 3 veterinarians had no exposure to animals that tested positive for the bird flu, and one of them who tested positive was working in a state that at the time had no reports of bird flu activity.
Although there wasn't a record, you have to assume that either there was some problem in the history of these veterinarians and maybe they were in a different state and they didn't remember, or in fact you have this problem in that state.
Either way, their infections went undetected because Dr. Koren says they were either very asymptomatic or had symptoms so minor that they paid no attention to it. The CDC release of that information about the 3 veterinarians comes after Ohio health officials announced the first bird flu infection in a human in that state. The infected person was a farm worker who came in contact with a sick bird. He suffered severe respiratory problems and had to be hospitalized. Here in Florida, there have been multiple reported cases of bird flu infections in farm poultry and non-farm poultry, but no reported cases of people infected with the bird flu.
With bird flu, you would have to do a lot of testings.
Dr. Sonia Rashid is an emergency room doctor at UF Health. She says the bird flu can have symptoms like the ones on your screen that mimic the seasonal flu. It's only when a patient is admitted to a hospital that they get a full viral panel of tests to determine if they have contracted bird flu.
And if we had a patient that had bird flu, they would probably be placed away from other patients in like an isolation kind of setting. Just
Is
because,
that to keep them from spreading it?
Exactly, just because those types of patients can get really sick.
There is currently no FDA-approved vaccine for bird flu infections in humans, which means the virus must run its course. The only things doctors can do is treat the symptoms.
So if their blood pressure is low or they're dehydrated, giving them fluids. If they're having a fever, giving them medications to treat their fever. Sometimes with the flu, you can get respiratory illnesses such as pneumonia, and that would require antibiotics.
Thankfully, hospitals here in Florida have not had to deal with patients suffering from bird flu. Now, medical experts say people with weakened immune systems are more likely to have a tougher time with bird flu infection. This is also yet another reason why people are advised to cover their mouth when they cough or sneeze and wash their hands. Reporting live in the studio, Eric Avanier, Channel 4, the local station.
Eric, will the regular flu vaccine help if you get infected with bird flu?
Well, both doctors I spoke with say the seasonal flu vaccine we get every year will not affect bird flu because seasonal flu vaccines are not designed to work on bird flu. However,
why not? Whoa, what's the difference?
That was it.
What's the difference? Why not? What's the difference?
We brought you here today to let you
This is
know
like,
that
come on,
we
man.
made the business decision.
Welcome back to America This Time. The Trump administration's foreign aid freeze happening as a deadly Ebola outbreak spreads in Uganda. The virus has killed 1 person and infected at least 8 others. Some health officials in the U.S. are expressing concern that with USAID and its future in limbo, this could perhaps get worse. The aid pause has already led to an understaffed contact tracing and screening of departing travelers from Uganda. Dr. Craig Spencer joins us now. He's an emergency a medicine physician and an associate professor at Brown University, their School of Public Health. He's also a survivor of Ebola. Thanks for being here. You have worked to combat infectious diseases here and globally. What does this mean as we watch this outbreak, and does USAID and the disruptions in Washington matter or not, in your view?
Well, I think you gave a good summary. We're at about 9 cases, and this outbreak was first announced a couple of weeks ago. It appears that right now this is under control, but that's because the Ugandan Ministry of Health has really great, capable people, and because the World Health Organization stepped up and did a lot of the things that the United States generally would support and fund. Let me tell you what would normally happen and then what happened here and why that concerns me. Normally, you would have, within a few hours of an outbreak being reported, the CDC mobilizing teams to go and respond on the ground. Some of the best viral hemorrhagic fevers in the world are doctors and people in the world are in Atlanta. That did not happen this time around. You would have USAID help mobilize support to set up border screening at the airport in Kampala, a very big airport in Entebbe that has links all over the world. That did not happen. The USAID support did not materialize. That was done by WHO. So others have stepped up as we've retreated. The problem is that how long are they going to be able to do that for? There's also an outbreak of Marburg virus in neighboring Tanzania, which is very similar to Ebola without any treatments or vaccines. There's Mpox, which is currently circulating next door in DR Congo. And just 2 days ago, there was a report of a new variant here in New York State. So not having USAID, not having CDC, and not being able to even talk to our partners at the World Health Organization is making us a lot more vulnerable, and it's going to make it a lot harder to end these outbreaks where they are before they can spread further.
What happens now in places like Uganda? What are they on edge about, if anything?
Well, Uganda is dealing with more than just Ebola. It also had support from PEPFAR, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which for the past 22 years, since started by George Bush, has been providing medication for HIV and helping drive down new cases and stabilizing cases of HIV all over the world. One of the most successful global health programs ever, has saved 25 million people to date. But I know right now friends of my own that were working on that program in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Burundi, who had to let staff go because the money overnight just disappeared. It wasn't able to be distributed because around 10 days ago, Elon Musk said they're going to throw USAID into the wood chipper. The impact was immediate. It's not just Ebola, it's not just HIV, but it's our eyes and ears in Uganda, in Rwanda, in many other countries. In the past, we have those relationships. We would know what was happening as soon as things develop. Right now, we're not even having those conversations. We're not in the room where those things are being discussed. And because of that, we have no transparency. We're not able to prepare here. And because of that, that makes us a lot more at risk. And it makes it a lot harder to address these threats where they are in places with the people that we've worked with for a really, really long time.
A judge, as you know, blocked the Trump administration from cutting medical research this week. So what is the impact of that, if that actually holds?
Yeah, so the proposal was to cut the indirect rates for NIH funding, which goes out and supports the best biomedical science in the world. If you look at the places around the globe that do the most cutting edge research in medicine and in health, they're mostly right here in the United States because the NIH supports them and then provides indirect costs to make sure that we're able to hire people, keep the lights on, make sure that we're able to hire staff. And the proposal is going to cut a lot of that. Some institutions will lose tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. Talking to my friends that are responsible for leading many of these institutions, they've said to me, I'm going to have to fire a lot of people. I'm going to have to stop a lot of the work that we're doing on things like cancer research, on things like trying to find, new treatments and therapies for diseases that have been underway for quite some time. And tying it all back, there is now Ebola treatments and Ebola vaccines that didn't exist 10 years ago when I was working in West Africa. We have them now because NIH funded and supported work. If we cut that research off right now, we are going to be cutting off access to future treatments for other diseases that we don't have treatments for. That will make people less safe in those outbreaks in Uganda and elsewhere, but it'll also mean
In today's Health Watch, we are looking at a measles outbreak in Texas. This has some people troubled. Officials have confirmed 48 different cases, most of them in Gaines County. That's near Lubbock, Texas. According to the CDC, these cases have been found not only in Texas this year, but actually 4 additional states as well. You see them on your screen. And the list of states is growing after New Mexico's health department recently confirmed a case there as well. We're joined now by CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder, who's also KFF Health News editor-at-large for Public Health. For more on this, Dr. Gounder, thank you very much for being here. What's behind the spike in Texas in particular?
This is what happens when you do not vaccinate. This is a measles outbreak that began in a very close-knit rural community, Mennonite community that has very low vaccination rates. And unfortunately, we have seen vaccination rates, exemptions rather for vaccination rates really soar in Texas in recent years.
So overall, vaccination rates have declined, but only slightly nationally. So you're worried about this pocket of high non-vaccination. But talk to me nationally. Are these declining rates a sign that we could see a wider outbreak?
With measles, which is what we know of as being the most contagious infectious disease out there, you need very high levels of vaccination to prevent an outbreak. So even a dip from 95% coverage to 93% coverage can leave you vulnerable to having outbreaks. And I think it's really important to emphasize that the measles vaccine is highly effective. 2 doses gets you to 97% protection effectiveness against developing measles infection. It is highly, very safe. We've seen hundreds of millions of doses given over the years worldwide. And when you do not get the vaccine, that is when you have the risk of hospitalization and death. And in this particular outbreak, we've already seen 3 people hospitalized out of 48. That's over almost 30%. Historically, it was 1 in 5 or 20%. So it's even higher than what we've seen historically. And historically, before we had vaccines in the 1960s, between 400 and 500 people died every year from vaccination.
People might forget that. Yeah, it's MMR on the vaccination sheet. My kids all have it. If you're looking for it, it might be under that acronym. If people are concerned they've been exposed or their children have been exposed, what symptoms should they look for?
So usually symptoms begin about 7 to 14 days after exposure. It starts with cold-like symptoms, but I want to be very clear. This is not just a cough cold. And then about 2 to 3 days after symptoms begin, you get these little white spots inside the mouth. Then you can get this rash, which is sort of a flat, blotchy red rash, usually starts around the face and spreads to the rest of the body. And then you can get fevers that are as high as 104.
Wow.
That's when you start to worry. And the infection can spread and cause severe disease in the brain, sometimes leaving somebody with cognitive issues, with deafness. It can spread to the lungs. So this is really not a minor infection. And what we've seen recently, KFF polling found that currently about 17% of parents have skipped or delayed a vaccine dose. This is up from about 10% just 2 years ago. So we're really seeing a lot of exemptions, concerns about vaccination that are not warranted.
That's a big change. All right, we'll keep following it. Dr. Gounder, thank you very much for now.
You sent me something yesterday.
All right, so let me tell you something real quick.
Uh-huh.
All this stuff that there's no way all these diseases are going around at the same time at one time. There's no way. You know what I'm saying? Why? If anything, why? How come? Why is there no state of emergency? Anything like this being declared in the United States? If this is real serious, you got 3 different diseases? You got Ebola, bird flu, and the measles right now. You know what I'm saying? And you're talking about the bird flu. You're talking about only one person. You know what I'm saying? Got it. And then you're talking about it. It could be only people for people can't transfer it, but only for an animal to a person. So why can an animal from a person transfer and not a person from a person? I don't understand. Isn't it getting transferred the same way through the air, breathing? I'm confused. You see what I'm saying or not?
You're right. I got you. I'm gonna say something that you sent me.
Yeah. Number 3, baby. Wow, getting some bombs. Why would we need to get bombs if it's a ceasefire? Why would we be? What's that all about?
So basically, you sent me a video the other day, and then I went and looked at some other research, and so they sent Marco Rubio, who's Secretary of State over there, and they sent Secretary of State over there to unload bombs and move them people out of their territory. So they got
that's what I'm telling you. You see how they try to, and look at how the media reports it. Everybody reporting, they showing these clips like they're meeting, and everybody's smiling and shit, man. These people are displacing these people, man.
Watch this. Now you said something about manifest destiny.
Oh man, that's what Trump said. No, I didn't say it. Trump said that.
I know you said. I know what he said. I heard him say it. Okay.
Bishop,
they had a movie on Manifest Destiny.
Or Sean Green. What up?
Manifest Destiny. Oh, here we go.
Damn, dude. I'm sorry. I don't care what nobody says. That's racist that shit to say.
And there's doing it.
I'm sorry.
Yourself.
I don't care what nobody says.
We will not be deterred. Together, we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars.
Fake. All that was fake, right? All was a hoax. You know it's fake.
Now
you notice it's only fake news when Donald Trump when it doesn't fit Donald Trump's narrative.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that manifest destiny, right?
Man, fake, break that mug down, bro.
What is manifest destiny? Because you brought it up. Now, let me tell you what manifest destiny really is. Because he talking about something on Mars, right?
He meant that. You know how you mean. He really meant that shit in America, in the world, dude. You know what I'm saying? He just said that shit to make it seem like, oh, we're gonna take over other. Nah, dude.
Manifest destiny was the idea that the United States was destined to expand its territory across North America. It was a philosophy that drove westward expansion in the 19th century. John O'Sullivan, a magazine and editor of the newspaper, first used the phrase in 1845. Wrote about the need to annex Texas and the inevitability of American expansion. Manifest destiny was used to justify the forced removal of Native Americans and other groups from their homes. Interesting, isn't it? The rapid expansion of the United States intensified the issue of slavery, leading to the Civil War. Examples: the United States went to war with Mexico in 1845 to acquire California and its Pacific harbors. The United States negotiated an agreement with Great Britain to secure the Oregon territory. Well, Sean Green, he said the place was level, but they had a hand in leveling the place as well. And not only that, this was a plan that this is the reason why actually Donald Trump actually was put in place to win the election, actually, because they had already cracked a deal with Miriam Allison in September. He got $100 million to take over the Gaza and West Bank area. And Jared Kushner and other real estate investors are going to benefit from it, which you notice they're saying USAID and all this stuff. Israel almost got $300 million since USAID started, which actually John F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy, excuse me. No, John F. Kennedy, my fault. Yeah. He's the one who started USAID. So that's
see that? You see how they do that? It's like Obama is the one that started the DEI stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's like, what's really
now, but this manifest destiny they're trying to do is across the whole planet. So that is
the Doge, my bad. Obama and the Doge. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Obama started the Doge. As a matter of fact, but it's kind of funny though, because Donald Trump is more like to me Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton was getting rid of a lot of federal workers too. Nobody ever talked to him.
Nobody ever talks about that. Right.
But yeah, but it's not. They're not even getting rid of workers they're getting rid of it for AI purposes. I played that a couple times.
And then honestly, to be honest with you, BJ, I notice a lot of people are really numb to that shit. I don't really hardly hear anybody talk about that. I said the other day that's effed up. I mean, I don't care. These people are entitled, whatever, rich, bougie, you know what I'm saying, white or whatever. That's still messed up to lose your job. Don't be fired like that, man. And then you be fired under the guise of this cat coming in under his administration. Like, that's messed up.
You know what? Sean Green saying China actually might not. I just want to say this about China. They may be doing some of it, but actually, China ain't doing as much as people think. And some of this equation, because China and the United States really working together. Now watch this. I'm gonna tell you something else. They came out and said a couple of days after that so-called TikTok ban that they did, they came out and said that they had nothing to do with China. They said it had to do with criticism of Israel.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So they used China as the scapegoat, and the real agenda was criticism of Israel.
And trying to let them see. That's how he lets you know China never hits nobody with no defamation, or China never defends itself against America. Unless China's in on it too. Yeah. And everybody's under the guise, oh, that's our enemy, but that's the biggest trading. One of the biggest trading. How is that our enemy, man? I mean, that may be like kind of like an adversary in a way, but no, dude, that's all fake drama.
The manifest destiny. Here we go, right here.
With Progressive, you never have to worry about the things you love.
Have you seen the cat?
Celebrating 50 years of music. Live featuring Arcade Fire, B-52, Backstreet Boys, Bad Bunny, Bonnie Raitt, Brandy Carlisle.
Manifest destiny. Two words that embody the mindset of many Americans during the 1800s as the U.S. expanded in size rapidly, both in miles of new territory and in the population itself. What does the term mean? And what were the impacts of the belief in manifest destiny? Let's find out together. While westward expansion began in 1803 with the purchase of the Louisiana Territory from France, it intensified by the mid-1800s, when the United States gained the territory of Florida from Spain in 1819 and annexed Texas in 1845. There was a growing feeling that it was America's destiny to expand westward to the Pacific Ocean, and that nothing would stop the country's quest in achieving that goal. It was in that time when the term manifest destiny was first used. In 1845, a newspaper editor named John O'Sullivan coined the phrase manifest destiny to describe westward expansion in the United States. He wrote an article titled Annexation in the United States Magazine and Democratic Review after the annexation or adding of Texas to the United States. He said that other countries had been working toward limiting our greatness and checking the fulfillment of our manifest destiny to overspread the continent allotted by Providence for the free development of our yearly multiplying millions. Let's break that down. Manifest destiny was the belief that it was America's right to expand westward toward the Pacific Ocean. The phrase, allotted by Providence, means given by God or a higher power. Lastly, for the free development of our yearly multiplying millions refers to the desire of Americans to move west and settle in new places as the country's population grew rapidly. Putting all this together, John O'Sullivan was stating that he believed it was America's right, even a right given from God, to expand and settle in new territories in the West. This belief was brought to life in a painting named American Progress by John Gast in 1872. The painting features a woman dressed in white floating towards the west. In her hands, she carries a school book and a telegraph wire. Behind her, a city drenched in light. We can see ships and rail lines following closely behind her. We also see a stagecoach and a covered wagon, a person on horseback, and in the foreground, farmers with oxen and a plow. In front of her, the West is featured as a dark and foreboding place. Animals like buffalo and a bear run away, and indigenous people are being cast from their homelands. The woman represents America and the very idea of manifest destiny so popular at the time. The artist is most certainly portraying a biased perspective of westward expansion, that it would bring light to the perceived dark spaces of the world through new communication and modern development. The reality was much more complicated, and the impact of manifest destiny would be felt far and wide. While some Americans reaped the benefits of westward expansion, establishing homesteads and creating a new life, others were not so lucky. Many American Indian nations were pushed from their homelands and mistreated by the new settlers, along with other groups of people who called the Western lands home. Slavery expanded into the West, and the nation grappled with the addition of new territories and states that allowed slavery within their borders. The idea of manifest destiny was so popular, it helped people like James K. Polk win the presidency, and led to the addition of the Oregon Country, the Mexican Cession, and the Gadsden Purchase to the United States. The effect of this time period in American history had far-reaching effects that are still felt to this day, and it's an important subject to spend more time on as you continue in your pursuit of history. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
So when you mention the word manifest destiny, that's what you get. Okay? Now So thanks for showing me that, because that actually made me get that nice video for you. But yeah, that's your. So that, and notice it said to drive indigenous people from their land. Didn't I say that? That's what they said. So that justifies what's going on today. And it justifies what you played over there in Palestine. You know what? Felicia Lockhart actually sent me a video on that, actually. Come to think about it.
Oh, dope. And then after that, if you can't, I got some comparisons, analysis to that. Now they said they just bombed Beirut and they killed 3. See, here we go. Okay, see, I gotta hit you with it. So they freed the other day, right? They freed on Saturday, right? See, that's how you know it's staged, because they didn't free all the hostages.
Hey man,
Trump told them to free all the hostages on Saturday, right? You notice how they did it, and they only freed 3 again. Okay, so now we got 3 again. Okay, we got 3 the other day, right? So now this get 33. So now today on the 47th day, 47th day of the year, right? So
everybody is yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So today, right?
Every other plane. Wait a minute. Every other plane.
We can go a couple angles. We can go a couple different ways with this, man. We can go a couple different ways.
Every other plane crash.
We could go with that there. We could go there. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Rashawn Green. So okay. So look, this is 33, right? So the other day, they freed 3 hostages, right? Men. They freed some men again. Right? The motherfuckers did not look sick. They didn't look unhealthy. The motherfuckers had clothes on. Look, the motherfuckers look like they came from Aspen skiing vacation. All right. So look, check this out. So look, so you get that 3 the other day, right? And then today on the 47th day, you get a plane crash, right? Oh my bad, a plane flips upside down.
Yeah,
right?
in Toronto.
In Toronto, where Drake is from, and also, you know what I'm saying? Where
he got a new album out.
What's the name? What's the governor or the president's name? The agent, CIA agent. What's the name? Son?
Trudeau.
Yeah, 54. Now I said we go back to They Live. That movie They Live. It was channel 54, right? 54 days after his birthday. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Crazy stuff, ain't it, man?
That's 30. That's 33. That's 33 though. 3 and 3. 3 days the other day. 3. Oh my bad. I didn't say. And then they said they bombed Beirut. They said 3 of the of Hamas leaders. How do you know the? Okay, so who's the other? You don't think?
Wait a minute, they had somebody interviewing some Hamas leaders the other day. I said, hold on, man. Come on, man.
Bro. Why don't you bomb them right now, bro? If you know where they are, why don't you raid right now and get them? And why do they always want to kill them before? You notice they always want to kill them before they take them in. Can't you talk to them and get them to reveal information, dude? If you bring them in.
Hey, look,
alive?
man. Look here, man.
You want to kill them though, right?
Let me say something.
I
got a question. I got a question.
Damn.
Look here, man.
Damn,
yo. You showed me the pictures of the place, right?
Bro.
You showed me the pictures, right? Of the place, right? Do you really think some leaders of some organization gonna be staying in some place like that? Come on, man.
Damn, bro.
But look, let me play this thing with Felicia because she played so good. It's funny. It's good. She broke down some things here.
Is a trip.
Yeah, shout out to Felicia
because it tells you exactly what he thinks about them as people. I'm gonna show you guys right here for those who, never gets old, right? Let me go ahead and bring it over. Everybody that you put in Saudi Arabia, these people don't even look like their natural origin anymore. I'm listening to this guy as he's talking, and the people who are over there right now don't even look like themselves anymore. But here it is. I want us to look at this.
For a visionary corridor that will stretch across the Arabian Peninsula and Israel. It will connect India to Europe with maritime links, rail links, energy pipelines, fiber optic cables. This corridor will bypass maritime checkpoints, or choke points rather, and dramatically lower the cost of goods, communication, and energy for over 2 billion people. What a historic change for my country. You see, the land of Israel is situated in the crossroads between Africa, Asia, and Europe. And for centuries, my country was repeatedly invaded by empires passing through it in their campaigns of plunder and conquest elsewhere. But today, as we tear down the walls of enmity, Israel can become a bridge of peace and prosperity between these continents. Peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia will truly create a new Middle East.
Do you want to comment on that, Ronnie, before we continue? Ronnie, do you want to comment on that before we continue?
Yeah, pardon me. Yeah, I'm definitely not qualified to speak on that per se, but I find it quite interesting to say the least.
Okay. All right, let's go.
To understand the magnitude of the transformation that we seek to advance, let me show you a map of the Middle East in 1948, the year Israel was established.
Now pay attention to what he says.
In 1948. It's a tiny country, isolated, surrounded by a hostile Arab world. In our first—
Hold on. How is that considered a hostile Arab world when the Europeans put you guys there?
Well,
I admit that everybody that was around them, that particular place, because Israel ain't a place, it's a people, they were all pretty much cohabiting with each other without any issues, as far as we know. Go ahead.
That's a good word. Cohabitation, at least relatively peaceably. That lets you know his standpoint and viewpoint, or his vantage point, if he's saying a hostile environment, because the colonizers would call that area a hostile environment. Every other community around that area, they relatively peaceably cohabitate. So that is an interesting perspective.
Well, I have Mary Cleveland, and I'd like for us to look at the passage. Thank you for putting your comment up, Mary. It says, "You twist scripture. God gave the Jews that land in perpetuity and said, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed."
Can I say something to that?
Read Genesis 12:2-3.
So that was just some things that Felicia's Lockout putting up there. You saw the little map, and you actually showed me that before as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
You saw that little map, Frank, and you were talking about the King Alfred Flynn and all that other stuff, right? Remember talking about all that Bell Flood decoration, all that, right? Now, that also is part of Manifest Destiny, whether you know it or not, right? Because they said we want to expand our territories, right? Say expand.
Just like Greenland and all this.
Well, when you expand, you take it from somebody, aren't you? Common sense, right? Now, that's how I say. So when they talk about all this stuff, oh, wait a minute. Now, unfortunately, now I gotta get to the good parts. Okay. Plane crash. Let's get to the plane crashes.
Oh.
Says, oh, that's too long. Hold on a minute. No. I gotta talk about what's going on here in Virginia too. Oh, they already got a witness.
What's happening here at Pearson, or what were you doing when you saw something happen? So we were seeing like some black smoke coming from the runway inside of the airport. We were doing some plane spotting over on that plaza over there at the intersection, and we saw something, some big smoke coming over the airport. So we rushed here to check out what exactly was happening. So I was walking to this fence, and that and I could see a CRJ that is possibly crashed on the airport. The airplane is flipped, according to what I've seen. My friend says like there are a couple of people evacuating from the airplane, and that's pretty much the information I know so far.
Okay, just what you were plane spotter. What do you mean by CRJ?
CRJ is I think it's a regional jet made by Bombardier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, what's your reaction when you saw all that smoke?
I was shocked. Like initially, I thought it was some fire or something coming from the snowblower, because yesterday there was a snowblower that was on fire. So we thought it was the same. But when we came here, and then my friend rushed there first, and then he said the CRJ is crashed on the runway. So I was like, yeah, I gotta go check it out. And the next thing I saw is basically a plane that the CRJ plane that basically flipped on the runway.
What's your reaction to seeing that plane that caught on fire flipped on the runway?
I'm really shocked that I don't know. There's no matter word of saying. Like I'm still like in like kind of stranded, and I'm really shocked that they happened on the Pearson, because it's the first time seeing like these kind of event, and yeah, I think it's really, to be honest, it's really really disastrous and sad event, I should say. If it is, yeah. But I hope people on board are all evacuated safely, and yeah. I think that's all the thing I know for so far.
Where the plane crashed, man.
How did it go upside down like that? How does that work?
That's a good question.
How is it upside down on his? And why is there no strips from the plane missing, bro? Why is there no strips from the plane missing? Why is there no bodies of the plane missing? Why is the rotor not missing? Why didn't the wing come off? Come on, man. Seriously? So you mean to tell me this shit flipped the whole plane, but it wasn't able to take pieces of the plane off? Okay. Damn. No, maybe it's just me.
After seeing the images, the plane upside down, can we start calling it a miracle that no one was there? They're saying no critical injuries, so the worst we're seeing is some minor injuries. Is it a miracle that this happened the way it did?
I think it speaks to how well the airplane was built and how the standards to which it was certified. The airplane stayed together. The doors opened. They were able to get people out quickly.
I was just going to say something about
crew
that.
Performed very well.
Then why did the plane flip if it was built so good?
Mm-hmm.
If it was built so good, why did the plane flip, bro? I mean, seriously. And you talk about no minor injuries, dude. The plane flipped upside down, bro. There was no minor injuries, so there was no head injuries. I mean, there was no major injuries to me. There was no head injury. Are you serious? No neck or head injury.
They say seatbelt. They say the seatbelts made the difference on the plane, man.
Bro. And okay, my thing is, how fast and how high of altitude was the plane when it crashed?
Good question.
See, you see how the media is not going to put the questions and details out there, because you're gonna figure it out for yourself. Like, wait up, this is some bullshit.
So I think this is the culmination of a lot of many years of learning what it takes to make airplanes safe. And in this case, it worked out. And I'm very, very, very pleased about that.
What would it be like trying to get people out of a plane that's upside down? Smaller plane, would that make a difference compared to like a jumbo jet or something like that?
There are fewer people you have to get out. There are also fewer exits to get them out. But I've seen video from inside the airplane, and the flight attendants are quickly moving people, telling them to leave their stuff, get out. They're moving through the doors, and then they're helping other people get out. And that's exactly what we want. So this is a reminder to listen to the safety briefings, know where your exits are, just in the unlikely event you were to ever need them.
And of course, your seatbelt. Clearly, seatbelt played a huge factor in this, right?
Yes. Yeah. The fact that people were belted in made all the difference here.
Any indicators what might have caused it? I've heard various things. I mean, would ice be a factor on the runway? Would that be able to do this? The winds?
I don't think ice is going to be a factor. I think the fact that the airplane is missing its right wing is going to be something that the investigators look at
Okay, so the wing
very
did come off.
seriously and early. So how did that wing manage to leave the airplane? I think there may be some story there, but the good news is this airplane's intact. And so they're going to be able to get the voice recorder and the flight data recorder very quickly. If not tonight, certainly tomorrow. And then the Transportation Safety Board will have that. They'll download it, and they'll know very quickly what led to this.
And would that have, with the flight data recorder, would that show anything about the wing? Would it tell you why it might have broken off?
It will tell things like the bank angle of the airplane when it touched down. It will tell things like the how gusty it was and how the pilots were responding to it. So there's going to be a lot of information there that the investigators will have to look at.
Okay, and it's the most recent crash. There have been a few in the last little while. Should we have any real concerns about flying?
I've looked pretty carefully at all of these accidents. The mid-air collision down in Washington, which is being intensely investigated. The medical flight out of Northeast Philly, we don't really yet know what happened there. That's a very odd one. The one in Nome, Alaska, the weather was really bad. And there's going to be questions about why the airplane dispatched and flew the leg. That was a very small single engine airplane, and now this one. I don't see any connection between these four.
Can I stop that?
Certainly something to look at.
Why even make a connection? We're not making a connection. Why are you? See that? You see what I'm saying? Or we're not making a connection we are, but we on it, and we know this is some bullshit. But I don't think he asked him about his connection. Why would you say, oh, there's no connection here? I think as a matter of fact, the one in Philly was kind of weird. All of them are weird, man. That's the whole point, man. This is why you don't think it's weird that planes are crashing after Donald Trump made a speech about a big ass speech about DEI and pilots after the funding was stripped by Obama number 4 and Trump. Oh no, excuse me. It was the same policies in place, and Trump left it in play even before when he was in office. So basically, a couple of presidents now, it's the same policies in office, been there as far as FAA. But I remember hearing some during the pandemic time and even after about there was been a pilot shortage. There was a big controversy about that. But there was a couple of presidents has been in office and it's still been the same policy, and all of a sudden Trump makes a big old thing about DEI and all that, and all of a sudden you'll notice that after that planes start crashing. Am I right or wrong?
Mm-hmm.
After he made the thing about DEI and planes, all this bullshit, all of a sudden planes start crashing. But my thing is, you had trains crashes and bridge collapses under Biden. Now you have plane crashes under Trump. What is going on with this? Does that make sense?
Right.
Why is that?
Hey. Trying to find this thing for you.
A lot of Kobe symbolism with some of these plane crashes, a lot of Super Bowl symbol. It's just, man, boy, I tell you, man.
Okay, this is Shaquille O'Neal last night getting or sported out.
It's advertisement, man. Advertisement. This is advertisement.
the head coach of Chak's OGs, BNT.
And that was from a company called Boston Dynamics.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your store on a...
Boston Dynamics just dropped new videos of its 100% electric Atlas robot. This is the first time the company has shared videos of this version of Atlas doing something like work, and the first time the company has shown it correcting a mistake. We're digging into the details, so let's get into it. When turning around, Atlas's torso and legs turn in different directions. Given the fully autonomous label on this demo, it could be reasonable to assume the robot made the decision to move that way. Whether it did it because it saves time or energy, I can't say. Pop-ups in the video give us a sense of the robot's vision system and how it marks the different bins it's reaching into. About halfway through this demo, one of the engine covers, that's the item Atlas is moving around, appears to snag, causing the robot to react, reposition, and correct its mistake autonomously. We've seen similar demos from other robotics companies. Figure showed its Figure 2 robot picking up and placing auto parts, even appearing to correct some of its mistakes. Tesla's Optimus robot was also recently shown doing various work tasks, first at the company's We Robot event. However, after reports came out that indicated the robots were human-assisted at the event, Tesla dropped a video showing Optimus in a lab setting doing many similar tasks labeled as autonomous. Another video posted by Boston Dynamics on Halloween shows Atlas doing the same task it did in the previous video while wearing a hot dog costume. In this example, someone dressed as a pickle moves the bins, Atlas catches another snag, and is able to react, reposition, and finish the task. This is the first time Boston Dynamics has shown its new electric Atlas in a work setting. The announcement video shows Atlas rising up off the ground and moving around, demonstrating the robot's hypermobility. At the time, Boston Dynamics said it was developing new grippers, or hands, for Atlas. Later, the company appeared to make good on that promise in a YouTube short. In this video, Atlas did some push-ups with what appeared to be grippers styled like fingerless nubs. Now we're seeing Atlas for the first time with finger-like appendages. Based on the movement shown in these new videos, it looks like Boston Dynamics has applied the same principles of hypermobility to them as they have to the rest of the robot. You can see the finger starts on the bottom to help lift the engine cover, then swivels up to pinch and hold the auto part as the robot carries it to its destination. These new videos of Atlas strutting its autonomous stuff come just weeks after Boston Dynamics and Toyota Research Institute, TRI, announced a partnership to develop AI and robotics. TRI has been working toward the development of a large behavior model, similar to a large language model that generates human-like behaviors instead of text. Boston Dynamics will supply the hardware, and TRI will be supplying the AI. TRI has also been hard at work in the field of self-driving and self-drifting cars. Tesla, one of Boston Dynamics' competitors in the humanoid robotic space, has touted the self-driving features of its cars as a helpful foundation for building out the type of AI needed to power humanoid robots. As Boston Dynamics works toward the commercialization of its humanoid robot technology, it's interesting to see the company partnering with an automotive AI company. Things are really heating up in the humanoid robotics world. Subscribe to CNET for the latest updates. What do you think of humanoid robots? Let us know down in the comments. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'm your host, Jesse Orrell. See you next.
Wow.
Ain't that crazy, man?
I think, like you would think in a society, you would think that they would have, they would probably, if it's like everything is backwards. So they had us, you know what I'm saying, working through society this whole time. You know what I'm saying? It's enslaving until you're 60 something, all this bullshit, right? And then they make some robots up, right? And then they want to lay motherfuckers off. And then, but see, you would have thought that it would have been the other way around. And then the robots would have been working and people would have just been living. But it's the other way around. You see, now they want to make it harder for people now that you're used to the system, and then they want to replace you with robots. Wow. Man, I'll tell you, boy, this is slavery, man. It's slavery.
When you imagine becoming the heir,
Physical slavery, mental slavery. I mean, you would think that they would have been, making. I don't know, bro. It's crazy, man.
Liberty Mutual is all she talks about since we saved hundreds by bundling our home and auto insurance.
it's pronounced. Practically every single millennial remembers the moments that defined their youth. Staying up late to watch MTV's music videos, laughing at the chaos of Double Dare on Nickelodeon, or catching the latest blockbuster from Paramount Pictures. Indeed, these weren't just classic shows or films, they were cultural milestones that shaped an entire generation. And yet, what if we were to tell you that all of it, every channel, every show, every iconic moment, was controlled by just one family? Meet the Redstones, the media dynasty behind an $80 billion empire that didn't just influence pop culture, they owned it. From Sumner Redstone's scrappy beginnings running a single drive-in theater in Boston to his ruthless rise as a Hollywood titan, the Redstone story is a roller coaster of ambition, power, and high-stakes drama. Yet, as the empire now passes to his daughter Shari, the family faces its greatest challenge yet, navigating a media landscape transformed by streaming wars and digital disruption. Thus, in today's episode of Old Money Luxury, we hope to answer the question, can a legacy built on owning your childhood survive in a world where the rules of entertainment have been rewritten, as we describe? The $80 billion family that owned your childhood. Money talks in media, but the Redstone fortune bellowed through gold-plated megaphones during its peak. At $14 billion in personal wealth circa 2000, with an $80 billion media empire under their control, the Redstones didn't just sit at entertainment's top table. They owned the restaurant, the street, and most of the neighborhood. Such astronomical figures marked more than financial success. They represented raw, unmatched power over American popular culture. The family's 1987 acquisition of Viacom for $3.4 billion proved so spectacular that calling it a masterstroke feels like calling Mount Everest a slight elevation. MTV alone became their golden goose, churning out over half of Viacom's cash flow throughout the 1990s with the reliability of a Swiss timepiece. And their properties were pure Hollywood royalty. Sumner Redstone's Beverly Hills estate sprawled across 15,000 square feet, complete with a wine cellar that would make French vintners weep with envy, before selling $27 million after his passing. Heiress apparent Shari Redstone planted her flag in a 7,000 square foot Westwood, Massachusetts mansion, valued at $2.25 million, practically slumming it by Redstone standards. The landscape looks startlingly different in 2025. Shari Redstone's current $500 million net worth reflects broader market shifts, though the family's influence persists through National Amusement's iron grip on 77% of Paramount Global's voting shares. This stake ensures their continued reign over a media portfolio spanning CBS, MTV, Nickelodeon, and Paramount Pictures. Recent valuations tell a sobering story of industry evolution. Paramount Global's current market capitalization of $7.26 billion stands miles away from the $30 billion valuation achieved during the 2019 merger of CBS and Viacom. Yet even this reduced figure represents massive wealth and clout across the entertainment landscape. The roots of this remarkable fortune stretch back generations, beginning with a simple drive-in theater business that sparked an entertainment revolution. Those origins reveal how raw ambition and perfect timing transformed a regional theater chain into a global media empire that would make Citizen Kane blush. To comprehend the vast media empire that would one day stretch across America like a colossus, reaching into millions of homes through glowing screens and crackling speakers, one must first understand its foundations in the immigrant experience of early 20th century Boston. The story begins not with the name Redstone, but with Rothstein, Sumner Murray Rothstein, born on the 27th of May, 1923, to Michael and Belle, Jewish immigrants who had fled the persecution and poverty of Central Europe. Their journey from a Polish village and the Lithuanian countryside to Boston's West End was a familiar one, repeated countless times by countless families. Yet the particular ambition that burned within this family would prove extraordinary. The West End of Boston in those years was a crucible of immigrant aspirations, where families packed into tenements dreamed of American success. Michael Rothstein, installing linoleum floors with meticulous care piece by piece, built a foundation for his family's survival. Bell, managing their modest household, cultivated in young Sumner an iron determination that would later become legendary in the entertainment industry. The boy watched, absorbed, learned, not just from books, but from the relentless work ethic that surrounded him. When Michael Rothstein made the leap from linoleum to entertainment in the 1930s, founding the Northeast Theatre Corporation, he could not have known he was laying the groundwork for an entertainment dynasty. The drive-in theaters, operated under the name National Amusements, offered Depression-era families an escape into flickering dreams projected onto massive screens beneath the stars. Young Sumner, spending his weekends in these theaters, received an education no Harvard classroom could provide, though Harvard would indeed come later, both for his undergraduate degree in 1944 and his law degree in 1947. The war years saw Sumner applying his analytical mind to a different kind of entertainment, cracking Japanese codes for the Signal Intelligence Service. In those high-pressure rooms where cryptographers worked to unravel enemy communications, Sumner developed a tactical mindset that would serve him well in future corporate battles. The precision required.
Now you notice the family that own the BET. You know that though.
Oh yeah, that's the people that's right on BET, right? Facts, yeah.
Yeah.
Look how they turned that shit. Got it way worse when they bought that motherfucker. It was way worse.
Okay. Come around this thing. Oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that daggone mass shooting.
Uh-oh. Hey, but yeah, hey, them owning all that, man. So, you know, the people that own that, they basically have control.
Your media, yes.
The Mooresville High School student arrested for allegedly planning to shoot up the school today on this Valentine's Day.
The 18-year-old was in court for the first time this afternoon. Fox 59's Claire Curry joins us live from outside the Morgan County Courthouse. Claire?
That's right. 18-year-old Trinity Shockley was seen in court via Zoom today for her alleged plans to kill her fellow classmates in a mass shooting that would have taken place today. Now she's being charged with conspiracy to commit murder, intimidation, and conspiracy to commit intimidation. Court documents detail how Shockley had planned for over a year to execute the mass killing. According to court documents, she had communicated to others about her desires to gun down students at lunch using an AR-15. During the investigation, police discovered Shockley had kept photos of known mass shooters on her bedroom walls. An anonymous tip sent to the FBI on Tuesday allowed for law enforcement to intervene before it was too late.
We can't say whether this plot and plan would have been carried out without the intervention of the police, but we can say with certainty that there was no mass shooting today at Mooresville High School, and our community is forever grateful.
Shockley was arrested Wednesday and denied her plans to law enforcement. At the hearing today, Shockley was given a court-appointed attorney, and she is being held without bond until her hearing this upcoming Tuesday, February 18th. A jury trial is scheduled for June 10th. Coming up later this evening, I'll have more from experts on the warning signs Shockley showed that should have set off alarms. Live in Martinsville, Claire Curry, Fox 59 News.
Claire, stay on top of the latest developments. Thank you for that live report. As we know, this tragedy was avoided because a student called the Sandy Hook Promise Say Something Anonymous reporting system, and that was a good thing.
Yeah, and it was created by Nicole Hockley. Her son was killed in the Sandy Hook shooting back in 2012. Hockley released a statement about the system preventing another school shooting. She said in part, quote, "This story illustrates the life-saving impact of recognizing warning signs, taking it seriously, and acting immediately to get help. It only takes one."
Murderous truck drivers prowling the nation's highways for victims have become familiar villains, really, in TV shows and movies.
In fact, the percentage of long-haul truckers who become murderers is small. But according to the FBI, there are likely hundreds of homicidal truck drivers on our roads who have never been caught.
Many of them have driven across Nevada and have left a bloody trail behind them. Tonight, Chief Investigator George Knapp takes a deeper dive into how victims are targeted. And some of this information, it is graphic.
86-year-old Reno resident Patrick Carnes was driving in tandem with a long-haul trucker along I-80 when he vanished forever back in 2011. His car was found in the same out-of-the-way field where 62-year-old Judith Casita's vehicle was found 5 years earlier. She, too, was never seen again. Nevada lawmen came to suspect that a serial killer trucker, possibly two, were picking off victims along I-80.
And this was actually where the vehicle was. I've seen some gruesome things in 25 years as an FBI agent, really gory crime scenes.
Former FBI Assistant Director Frank Figluzzi says the two missing Nevadans are not typical targets for serial killer truckers. Most of the known victims are younger women, either sex workers or hitchhikers. Figluzzi learned about the killers and their most likely victims by digging into a bureau program called the Highway Serial Killings Initiative, established in 2009, and learned even more by riding shotgun with truckers over thousands of miles. Research that produced his best-selling book, Long Haul. By studying known murders, missing persons, and truckers themselves, the FBI estimates there could be 450 long-haul truckers who are serial killers, probably more. Many are sexual predators. Some just like to kill.
One indeed likes to control the outcome and loves the power and will prolong torture, rape, and other horrors. But the other one, George, the other kind of serial killer, simply wants to kill. He enjoys that power of life and death, and he kills quickly.
He's killing because he's lonely? The specter of a mass murderer rumbling down the highway in a multi-ton traveling crime scene has been used in several TV shows and in movies, including the thriller Suspect Zero. But sometimes it spills out too close to home. Truck driver Chester Todd was suspected by the FBI of multiple rapes and murders of women, but he went on the run in 1996 and didn't surface until 2011 in Las Vegas, where he'd been living under an assumed name. Another serial killer truck driver, Wayne Allen Ford, had a severed breast in his pocket when he turned himself in to California police in 1998. He admitted to 4 murders. 3 of his victims had been dismembered. The body of one victim, 26-year-old Tina Gibbs of Las Vegas, was found in Northern California, not far from Ford's home. One of the most vile of the trucker killers is Robert Ben Rhodes, who built a torture chamber in his truck. Rhodes murdered 2 couples he picked up hitchhiking, one in Utah, one in Texas, and is suspected of dozens of other murder torture sagas.
There's some of the most heinous crimes and criminals in the book, including Robert Ben Rhodes, who picked up a 14-year-old girl hitchhiking, hooked her up from fish hooks inside his torture chamber in his rig. Over the course of several weeks across many states, raped and tortured her, leaving her for dead in an abandoned farmhouse.
The most common and most vulnerable pool of victims are the so-called lot lizards, which is the crude name drivers use for the sex workers who ply their trade in the nation's truck stops. Figluzzi met and interviewed many of them for his book, including a few who survived their attacks, and knows that educating these women about the dangers is tough. Many of them have drug addictions and poor judgment, move around a lot. Don't let family know where they are, so no one is likely to report them missing. Figluzzi also wrote his book to educate cops about the FBI initiative. The Nevada lawmen working on the Pat Carnes case had no idea there's an FBI database they could have accessed.
If I have one message to any law enforcement officer listening, it's get your unsolved cases, especially involving roadside killings, into the FBI's database.
The trucking industry has embraced the effort to find and weed out killer truckers and has installed tracking devices.
Basically what they're saying in truckers, the truckers, going around killing people.
Oh yeah, I heard about this right now.
Yeah. Let me play this for you. I'm play like 5 minutes. Now I gotta handle some business, but
Buy a home with a zero closing cost mortgage from Cap Center and save thousands.
At Papa John's, we know quality. Handcrafted pizzas, always served with extras, better ingredients.
I can't take anymore. I can't take anymore, Zaina. Do you notice how the leaders pushing that, Democrats lost because of woke and everyone's fleeing the Democratic Party because of woke are all fucking billionaires and millionaires? Independent outlet on the ground. And it is actually 23.7%. Poverty wage, roughly 25,000. Independent outlet on the ground, covering what the corporate media covers up. If you filter the statistic to include as unemployed people who can't find anything but part-time work, or who make a poverty wage, roughly $25,000, the unemployment percentage is actually 23.7%. In other words, nearly 1 of every 4 workers is functionally unemployed in America today. Hardly something to celebrate. Zaina, let me repeat that for those in the back. If you filter out the statistic to include as unemployed people who can't find anything but part-time work, I would include in there gig work, but okay. If you filter can't find anything but part-time work or who make a poverty wage, roughly 25,000, the unemployment is actually 23.7%. Colin, the graphic, what was the unemployment rate during the Great Depression? 25%. So 1933, 25%. I'm just going to round this to 24%. I'm not good at math, but that's pretty close to Depression levels. And frankly, there's a lot of people, maybe they don't consider themselves part-time, but they're what they call permalance, so permanent but freelance without benefits, gig workers, seasonal workers. There's a lot more not full-time workers than there were in 2001, which is the beginning of what they started looking at. And this is what I've been screaming forever, and it's politicians on both sides. Bush lied to you, Obama lied to you, Trump lied to you. Trump is obviously lying now, and Biden lied to you. The economy hasn't been strong really in this country and it was never strong for all of us. I mean, maybe the 1960s, early 70s was the last time, but those are staggering numbers. And gee, if a politician ran on that, if a politician told the truth about how we're at depression levels of unemployment, that might resonate with some folks, Zaina.
Every POTUS that runs and every party always uses the Bureau of Labor and Statistics number. The irony with that is that if you go to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics website, they are very clear. This is a very limited look. Here are all the things that we do not include. And in fact, there have been leaders within the Bureau of Labor and Statistics that have been wanting to apply more metrics to to the evaluations for what is unemployment, just like Politico did here, but they've been stopped every time. So, you know, they're well intentioned, I believe, at the department, but they don't look at anyone who is, for instance, once you're laid off for 6 months or you're out of work for 6 months, it stops tracking you. So if you are unable to find a job, or if you have a very part-time gig, that'll put you under part-time, but it will list you as employed. You may be in their underemployed section, but you can work 5 hours a week and be considered employed according to their metrics. And that's why it's so off. And then temp agencies have been legalized when there were limits on temp agencies. So a lot of jobs that are in the marketplace right now, other than gig work, other than companies hiring people in contract work positions when they're actually employees and would fall as employees under the labor law, because that is not, there is no metric to really, there is no institution that's really there to police that right now. And now that temp agencies are legal, you see all these temp agencies that are placing these temp hires. The agencies are charging the companies what, $25 an hour, and they're paying the employees 10, 11, 12 to do the hiring and the HR. So they're taking, you know, 50% of somebody's wages. So even for the people that are employed, they're underemployed, they're underpaid. And especially like what you were just talking about in pace with inflation. But we saw the leaders of the Democratic Party. Jeffries was just saying, he's like people are kind of feeling the economy. So, you know, we really need to relate to their feelings.
Or it's always yeah.
Jon Stewart, and Jon Stewart was like, "What's your project 2025?" He's like, "We need to relate to people's feelings on the economy."
Well,
and he's like, "What's your policy?"
It's always with the Democrats. It's our messaging. It's our messaging. No, it's people are starving.
Mm-hmm.
People. It's not just unemployment. Okay, so we're talking by that metric, unemployment is closer to a quarter of the country, but it's also now in the working poor, even people that have full-time employment. So we have a severe economic crisis connected to the literal raiding and selling of the government to corporations and wealthy people. I also want to show you, I reached out to Professor and economist Richard Wolff on this to get his thoughts. He told me Ludwig, the author, is right to beat this drum again, and perhaps especially now. Economists have long known, or maybe I should better say, left of center economists, that for many analytical purposes, the official unemployment number is inadequate. He's a little too nice. I'd say bullshit, but he said inadequate. They have then added part-time, voluntary and or involuntary portions of the population counted as not in the labor force, just quote, discouraged workers. And then those earning low or poverty or 150% of the poverty level wage. Ludwig uses that large literature to craft this political piece. But what I found best about the piece was the title. I repeatedly also railed against the crude arrogance that led so many, especially Democrats, to insult the people's ignorance rather than ask why Biden-Harris followers might have a different take on the economy than millions of citizens. So that's from a pretty, well-known economist, and he's been saying forever, it's much worse than both parties are telling you. And it kind of makes sense. I mean, look at the numbers. This Unusual Whales tweeted this out the other day. This is from Oxfam. The richest 1% of people now own nearly 45% of all wealth, while 44% of humanity are living below the World Bank poverty line of $6.85 per day. We know, Bernie's, 1% own 90% of everything. The homelessness has exploded in this country.
So that's just the thing called the status quo. It's just showing you that the unemployment numbers and all this stuff is a bunch of nonsense, because it's really a lot more than what they say. But
that makes perfect sense. Of course, it's not what they say. Just like they're trying to make it seem like the economy is better than what it really is.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, like they said, working 5 hours a week and stuff like that and still getting kind of in employment. 5 hours a week ain't gonna get you too much, bro. But
okay, hey, before you go real quick, so we said you didn't comment on that USAID, you just played the video. What do you think? What do you think? What's going on with that USAID thing, man?
I'm gonna have to get into I'm gonna have to do a little probably 20 minutes on that. I might even do this tomorrow, but look, let me tell you something, bro. You know what? Let me find this thing. I'm gonna show you something right quick.
My bad. I know you got to go and shit.
No, you good. I'm gonna show you something right quick. Because I'm telling you, a lot of these, what they call it, conservative commentators or something, that be talking about that they getting USAID grants.
These commentators, these people that are on YouTube and X or whatever, all this bullshit.
They're a bunch of I ain't gonna say lies, but they're not telling their side of the story too. A lot of them is involved. It ain't just one or two.
Just like how Candace Owens talks about the Creed people and everything, and she got the connection through Rockefeller. Very interesting. Hypocritical as well, man.
That shit. If I can find it. I went and looked it up. I'm trying to find it quick. If I can find it. Let's see. I find this shit. Okay. I'm gonna find this for you. Oh, here it is. I found it.
My bad.
Who do you think the largest thing on USAID aid come? What country think get the most?
Ukraine, baby.
No.
Or Israel?
There you go right there. Israel almost 300 billion, man.
Damn.
Egypt, Afghanistan, South Ukraine, Iraq, Turkey.
Nobody ever talk about Egypt. We always give Egypt money, dude.
Yeah.
But see, we want to pick and choose what part of Africa we get. This motherfucker is crazy, bro.
Hey,
see
man.
that?
It is what it is. And about that South Africa you sent me weeks ago, I forgot to tell you that South Africa actually had said Israel was guilty of genocide. So that's another reason why they probably going out of South Africa as well, including the minerals and things like that. So just something to put intention to. But yeah, Wayne, go ahead and shout out the information, man.
Word for sure, man. You know what I'm saying? We gotta stay righteous, stay vigilant, man. Stay on the grind. Y'all can hit me up at XX Frank Nitty XX on YouTube and also on Instagram. And then I got Frank Jones 8115 on Instagram. All right.
Yeah, man. Just like I said, man. Like right now they're gonna be running more psyops. Might have a side in my shit. Might have another plane crash tomorrow.
Right.
They had a train crash somewhere too. I forgot where it was at. But yeah. So just pay attention, man. Keep your head on swivel. Don't get caught in the psyop. And watch out for bird flu and the egg prices, man. Take your time.
All right, for sure.